This was the one about my mom.
Yo, low-key, Abby's mom had Abby at the age of 18. So that's the type of girl Abby's mom was.
I can't believe he said that stuff about you.
My mom, dude. My mom. That's like, I feel like the one rule in life.
Hello, my billion-dollar babies, and welcome back. I am Tara Electra, and on this podcast, we break down the billion-dollar ideas from today's cultural leaders who have pushed past the traditional route to create their very own pathway to success. Today's episode is going to be so fascinating. We're talking about the psychology of fame and how to stay grounded in the entertainment industry. This guest that I'm having on has accumulated over 4 million plus followers, has been viral on the internet multiple times, and has seen it all. She's not going to be holding back, so listen closely. Welcome, Abby Rayo. I'm so excited to have you here. We've been talking about this for a long time, and I think you have such a cool perspective on what it looks like to gain fame in the industry, what that can do to someone's mental health. And there's been times I'm like sitting with you in the car and you've told me some crazy stories about what that was all like. So I've been wanting to bring you on to talk about it all.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be on this. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you. So to start off, you were going viral all the time on TikTok. I remember back in the day, I was like, you would be all over my feed. And so you were really at the heights of TikTok stardom. What was that whole world like for you?
Well, it's interesting that you describe it that way because that's interesting. I think when you're in it, it's hard to explain what it feels like. But at first, when TikTok was really starting to get big, or I guess more widespread with all ages, I started doing it. At first, I thought it was really cringe, but someone I was friends with at the time was like, dude, you have to do this. And so I did it. And, I think when I started on TikTok, I was purely having fun. I wasn't really going with what other creators were doing. I was making content of purely just having fun and being me.
That's
and
cool.
I think that was the most fun thing about it. And yeah, that was really my biggest blow up because I had a following before that, but that was really when I blew up hard. And I think it's because people on TikTok, the way the algorithm works, they would see my face and be like, oh, I know her.
Yeah.
And then they would keep watching my stuff. And then it just made me grow so fast. And like
Yeah.
back then it was really easier to grow and translate from TikTok to Instagram. So then my TikTok started going crazy and then my Instagram started going crazy. And then it all happened like very fast.
Wow. And you lived in one of the most famous houses, and there was two of them you lived in, right? So there was Clout House and then Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone doesn't know what Clubhouse and Clout House is it's basically a house with a bunch of internet kids that are all famous and doing content together. You lived in two of the famous houses. What was that world like for you?
Well, the first one, I kind of came in obviously because I was dating someone that was in the house. So that was when I was very new to the internet and I was not very familiar with their past. I was never a viewer of their content. I didn't know all the drama. I didn't know all the like backstory. Obviously, I learned it. But that was a very surreal experience, I think, because I went from having a completely normal life to, living in this house that was like bigger than I could even fathom. And everyone knew that we lived there.
Yeah, which is kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, it was scary. Like we had to have security there because fans would wait outside and like, I'd be going outside in the morning and like the Hollywood tour buses would literally be passing our house. Like
Wow.
crazy stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just, I think for me, it was just weird, if anything. I felt like I was like, my life just changed 0 to 100 so fast. I didn't really have time to think about what I was doing. And then the second one, Clubhouse, I founded with Daisy Keach. I had more skin in the game at that time. I understood what I was doing more for sure. But, that comes with its own things too. A lot of drama, a lot of just, good times, a lot of good times, but a lot of drama. I wouldn't take the experience back, but it was a lot. I was very burnt out
Yeah.
after that.
What are some of like the names that lived in the Clout House with you, so people can hear like some of the people that lived there, and then what were some of the names that lived with you in Clubhouse?
Okay, so Clout House, Banks and Alyssa. And
So Alyssa
then
Violet, Banks
Alyssa
is a
Violet,
gamer.
Banks, who founded FaZe,
Cool.
and then me. Um,
And I was there.
My ex. He's fun. And then
Like Summer Rae lived there before, right?
yeah, but not at the same time as me.
Oh,
I
okay.
think-
So they kept
I think-
switching out influencers.
Well, I think she just lived there at a certain time, and maybe it didn't work for her.
Yeah.
Because it's different living with that many people.
Mhm.
The Nelk boys actually moved in with
Oh
us.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and we lived together for like about a year.
that
pretty
was
much the whole
probably
t-
wild.
Oh yeah, it was. They're great people, honestly.
Are they exactly like their show?
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you this: they're some of the hardest workers I've ever seen
Wow.
in social media. They're very militant about their work. They take their fans serious. They take their content serious. They're very good at what they do. They were up every morning grinding at like 7 a.m.
What does it look like to grind as a content creator?
Just have your shit together, like be up doing stuff, like posting stuff. They have a team of editors that was just working. Like they have like people in there. They had built a brand, like almost like a company at that point. And now
Wow.
obviously we've seen it, but that was kind of like, I guess, the part of the growth. And then they brought in Steve, and then they were like, oh, this kid's crazy. I don't know exactly what was going through their mind, but I saw Steve happen and them
Wow.
kind of blow up Steve and his whole journey. And like, it was cool to see and be a part of. And it's cool to see what they've done now and what they've built. I'm just so happy for them. I'm proud of them. They're good people.
That's cool. What's the funniest story that ever happened when you were living in the Clout House or the Clubhouse with all these social media influencers?
Most I can't really say, but let me think.
Most you can't say.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of crazy stuff. A crazy one, I guess, at the Cloud House that I could think of is one time me and my ex were in our room, and we were just talking, hanging out. Everybody had just left to go to a party. I and himself weren't big partiers, so we didn't go. And the house was huge. It had like 4 stories. And I think one person was at the top getting a tattoo. They had a tattoo artist on the 4th floor. So thank God there was one person there because we were so scared. But we're in our room, we're like talking, we're like, yeah, no. We hear like knocking, like banging. We're like, do you hear something? Nah. We keep going, and we hear our names being called, and someone's on the balcony. Someone had climbed up the side of the house and was like trying to open the balcony, and 95% of the time it was left open. So thank God it was locked, because if it wasn't locked, they would have gotten into the house.
Oh, it was just a random
It was
person.
a crazed fan that just was trying to get into. He knew where like my room was, and he was trying to get into my room. And it just so happened that security had walked down the street, because FaZe had a house, not the next house, but the next. So the security's teams would talk and stuff. And so I guess he's like, oh, well, I'll just walk. Everything's quiet. Let me just walk and talk to this guy. As soon as he walked and left, the guy came on the side of the house, climbed on the trash cans, and climbed onto the balcony.
Wow.
It was so scary.
Wow.
It was terrifying. And then there was no one at the time. We thought there was no one home. So we were
Wow.
alone. We were scared shitless. We didn't know what was happening.
Did you see his face and stuff?
Yeah. Oh, we had a picture of him and everything. Like security caught him and everything. So it was fine.
Wow.
But it was just like the house was filled with people. And then everybody leaves. We're like by ourselves. And then all of a sudden that happens.
That's crazy.
So that was scary. I think that was something that I didn't expect, because I still couldn't wrap my head around, like, I guess I could see why they were, I couldn't see why someone would do that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't understand it, and
Yeah.
it scared me.
What was life like living in an influencer house that was that famous with all these internet kids?
Obviously, a lot of parties, a lot of like people coming over, different creators in the house are working with, God knows who, and they're just coming over, and you'll see someone in your kitchen. Like one time when I was at the Clubhouse, I was coming downstairs, and like Designer was in the kitchen getting something out of the fridge, like the wrapper.
That's funny.
And I was like, hey, like, what you doing here? Like,
That's
you know, like,
crazy.
so random stuff like that would happen a lot. And then just really cool opportunities. It pretty much is exactly what you would think it would be like.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's an influencer or lives in this space, our lives are not normal.
Yeah.
So the things we're used to are not normal.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, we had crazy parties. You know, it was crazy during like you know, when all that rioting was happening and we were like in the middle of Beverly Hills, we could like hear it. That was
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Just I loved the sense of community.
Yeah.
Was definitely fun because we could all relate to each other. We were all doing the same thing.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of people that we could relate to. But there was a lot of, you know, drama with like people who didn't want to create with other people and things like that. And it's like, we're in a content house. You joined a content house to create with everybody.
What makes them not want to create with a certain person?
Ego.
Feeling like they're going to blow you up if they
Yeah.
create with you?
Yeah. Or feeling, you know, just ego. I mean, with social media and with, you know, giving all these young people all this attention, it's like egos get a little bit awry.
Is it the ones that feel like they're getting a lot more like engagement? They don't want to help someone else?
Yes.
That's
That's
wild.
definitely what it is.
So everyone would like pick their favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would pick their favorites, and I think like that was a problem. That was definitely a big problem at the clubhouse
Wow.
for a lot of people, because, you know, some of the people were just genuinely like, hey, like, let's just all have fun, and then other people weren't so
Yeah.
much like that.
That's wild.
Yeah, but it was just an interesting life, you know. I think there was a lot of pressure. I think that was what was new, was being able to create. Because with the Clout House, I wasn't really involved like that. Like, I lived there, but I wasn't necessarily a member of that. I didn't grow with them. I wasn't a part of their like story necessarily. And I
Wow.
never claimed to be. But I did live there. I had my own experience there. I had my own great memories there with them. I definitely got close, you know, when you live with someone and, you know, see all the things that we've seen, you just get close to them. So we'll always have that. But with the clubhouse, it was different because I actually created it, and I was like, I knew what was going on and I was way more involved. And I think with that one, unfortunately, it made making content not fun anymore.
Yeah. So tell people how, like, who's paying for the rent, what you have to do when you live in those houses.
Well, a lot of times, like, every situation's different. So every content house, you know, has a different story. But with that one, we had an investor. So
Mhm.
we weren't paying for it. It was kind of someone that was like, hey, you know, I want to get into this space. I see that like this is happening a lot. You know, and they felt like Daisy and I were the ones to create it. And so we took it on and we did that. And so we didn't pay for anything, but we
Yeah.
were the talent, and we were, you know, it's kind of like, it's a business model of like, you have an investor, the investor is kind of behind the scenes, the creators do what they do best, they bring in the money, and then, you know, that's how they get a return on their investment.
But they gave you like deliverables and things you had to do every day, like make a certain amount of content, tag.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So
And
that's what the part that wasn't fun.
yes, and I think like, you know,
Because what was it like? You had to do a ton of content every week?
yes, every day we were supposed to make like 3 TikToks a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever other deliverables, all deliverables would change, you know, because everybody had their different brand deals going on. Or maybe there'd be a brand deal that the whole house would have that we would all have to do. You know, we had a YouTube channel that we would like film. Everybody had to get together. We had to be there in a certain time. So nothing that's hard. It's not like I'm complaining about it. It was
Yeah.
just, you know, making content is hard. I think there's a point with every creator where they start doing it. You know, I guess everybody's different. But what I've seen and the way it was for me is I started making content because it was fun
Mm-hmm.
and I was having fun. You know, you feel cute, you're having fun with your friends, you're, oh, this is getting cool. Let me just keep doing this. And then at some point, when you get bigger and you realize, okay, I can monetize off this, it's hard to not like, it makes it not fun anymore because there's so much pressure.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, especially when you mix in 15 other people that are doing the same thing, that have their own idea of what they want. They have their own ego. They have their own following. They have their own idea of what they want to do, and it's all different. And we're all at different places in that process. It was just too much. Those things aren't built to last.
Why do you think these content houses kind of fell apart?
Because of they're just it was a time, it was a phase, it was a fun thing, but it's just too much. It's too much. There's too many moving parts. Do you know what I mean? And then there's too many young kids with so much power and so much, I'm not saying all of them have ego. I mean, everybody has an ego, inflated or not, but not everybody's like that. But it's just hard when, in general, if you took 15 of your friends from your hometown and moved into a house, there would be issues.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, think about 15 friends that are all famous, that all have a lot of money, that all want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to do what they don't want to do. Different personalities, different problems. People don't want to work with this person because of this. And it's just, they're not.
Yeah, it got messy.
It got messy. It's a messy business.
I feel like crazy stuff always happens around this industry. Like wild things are going on. So many different personalities, so many different types of people that you would never imagine are so different from the internet. And I think that's the most wild thing about this industry is people just don't even know who these people are in real life. So I think that's what's really fascinating about it all. You've been able to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely the internet, people have to realize it's a picture being painted. Like, it's not reality. It's a version of reality that the creator wants you to see. It's a expression. It's fun. I feel like what's changed a lot about social media nowadays is what's popular is really like doing what we're doing now. Talking, having showing our real side of like who we are and ways that we can connect, with other people or someone who might be watching. But back then, I think it was very just not super focused on that. It was more just about like, oh, looking cute, making content, doing TikToks, doing, stuff like that. And so I think like, every creator's different, but I've seen it tear apart so many people.
Wow.
Just the fame and the attention of it all. I feel like humans are not really built for that type of attention. It's not really natural. So whether you like it or not, it affects you psychologically. And so everybody deals with that differently. It's how can you not let it get to your head in some way? Whether it be a positive way or a negative way, but it's like this thing that happens to you that as it's happening, there's phases that you go through and feel, and it's about how you control that and how you keep yourself grounded and keep yourself in reality, and others are better at that than some.
Wow. Do you feel like a lot of talent you've met along the ways have a lot of mental health issues, like depression and like are so focused on the likes and growing and
Absolutely. I mean, because when you, like I said, you put any person, but a young person especially, who knows what they've been through in their past, what pain they've been through. Then you put them, or they put themselves online and they're very good at it. They get a lot of attention. They get a lot of praise and they start, that feels good. It's a rush. It's kind of like people who like to jump out of a plane and they get that rush. When you're on social media and you're getting that validation and you're getting those likes and you're watching a post blow up, it's like a rush. It's like a drug. So people get addicted to that feeling.
Wow.
And then just like anything in life, there's highs and lows of everything, whether it be a business, whether it be, doesn't matter what it is. When they go to that low and it's not as big as they want it to be, it's like they feel like they're dying, because they're like, whoa, wait, I need that. Like they start to take their value and they think like their value on social media is the real value of who they are. And it's not. But you can't blame them for going there. It's a hard psychological battle. Unfortunately, yeah, I've seen a lot of people get really lost in it, and some of them are still lost. Other people, detach themselves from it and like understood, coped with it. Like I feel like for me, I went through a lot of different phases with it, and now I'm at a point where it doesn't affect me. Like something that was happening even when I was in the clubhouse, like there was a lot, me and other people were in the media a lot. There was a lot of stories running about me. There was a lot of stuff with my ex going on, that was so hard for me. I could not take it. I could not handle it. I was cracking. I was totally cracking. Um, I like wanted to die. Yeah,
Wow.
because it feels so good when people love you and all these millions of people. Oh my gosh, I love you. You're so pretty. But what about when they hate you?
Yeah.
It sucks. And so it's this feeling of like I just want to talk to each and every one of them and be like, no, like you've got it all wrong. Like this is me, but you can't do that. You have to accept that there's gonna be people, kind of like how your mom tells you when you're younger, like there's gonna be people that aren't gonna like you. That's right. But what happens when it's on the millions and there's gonna be people that aren't gonna like you, and there's gonna be a lot of them, and they're gonna be commenting on your stuff. They're gonna be messaging you, stuff like that. So I think after that, I really kind of stuck my tail between my legs a little. And at this point, nothing bothers me.
Wow.
But it did at a certain point. Like, some of the stuff that was happening recently about being said about me online, because it's been cobwebs. Not much has been said about me online because I've stayed under the radar for a while. But it was like interesting how now the things that are being said about me, I didn't even lose sleep over it. It didn't even affect me.
What has been said over about you lately?
Well, just the stuff when I just went on that podcast with Steiny and Kyle.
Okay. From Nelk.
Yeah, just because I was unfortunately brought up by my ex and in a not so positive light, and because of that, hey, it landed me on a podcast. So,
Wow.
But yeah. And then I went on the podcast, and some of the things I said, he had more to say about me that was not true and negative for no reason. And before, I think, when that was happening with that person, when I was in the clubhouse, I was like beside myself. I was not okay at all.
What was this person saying about you online back then?
Oh my gosh, that he owned me, that he owned a percentage of me, that, I'm painting a picture that I'm like not a good person, or I'm painting me in a light that I'm not, because he wanted to do that because he was mad and he felt like he wanted to use his power to crush me. And so he was doing that in every way he could. And he has a very big fan base. And so he basically instructed them to come after me.
Wow.
So, someone with a huge fan base, and then all of their fans just coming after you because they were told to, it was like, it took a while for it to stop. It still happens a little, but like I said, at this point, it's fine.
That's crazy you went through that.
Yeah. No, it's wild.
It's
like
traumatic.
Articles about me, like I would wake up on Snapchat, it'd be like my face on an article, and then like stuff being said about me that I cannot control.
Wow.
Like I cannot control. During that time, there was a lot of like bias stuff going on because that person was, what they called an OG, or he's so respected because he's so big in the game and he's done so much. And so a lot of people were just on his side and wanted to hear what he had to say, but then didn't want to hear what I had to say because they were homies with him.
So he favorites.
Yes, and they allowed him to kind of control the narrative, and I wasn't really able to like fight back or stand up for myself. And I tried to, but he basically was like, knew I was scared of him at the time, and silenced me,
Why did you feel scared? Like you felt like he could just totally cancel you or something, or like hurt you in some way because he has so much fans?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I just felt like he could paint me in even more of a picture that I didn't want to be painted that wasn't true. And that's what's so crazy about social media and about fame in general, wherever you are in the industry. You can only control so much, and it's very hard. And that's why at the time then, I did care a lot about what people thought. Now, not so much. I care about what my family thinks. I care about like my close friends. I care about what you think because I love you and because I love them. But I had to literally accept that I cannot control what other people are going to think of me. They don't know me.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with that.
That's wild.
It's a really hard, I think that is the key. And that's the one thing about social media and about people getting so lost in it and people getting just so mentally effed from it is you actually do have to stop caring what people think and be okay with who you are and understand that validation doesn't come from social media or other people, praising you. It comes from you and your family and your loved ones, and that's it. But it's really put to the test when you have millions of followers and you have that kind of dangled in front of you. It's very hard to actually learn that.
Yeah. I feel like also too, when you're that famous and you walk into a room with someone new, you like expect them that they should like you because you have all these people like you. Like I've seen that with some talent where it's like they don't even feel like they have to try anymore to be like a good person because they are who they are.
Absolutely.
And it's like it's just such a different world.
So that's the brown nosers I was bringing up. So that's another thing that I've seen a lot from the beginning too, is it's kind of like this big club. And if you have followers, if you have clout, or if you have that attention, you're just like in the club. So your life is automatically going to be easier out here.
In LA.
In this world or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's all about who you are, who you know, what you've done, how many followers you have. And so I think so many people in this industry are so used to people kissing their ass that yes, they just stop trying because they're just like, oh, yeah, oh my gosh, here we go. Here it comes. Oh, hi. That's kind of like mostly how it is out here. Yeah.
It's so funny. I've seen that so many times where they're like, here again. Hi. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's like there's people I've also seen that have grown, so much in it and learned and not let it change, who they are. And I feel like it, with me, obviously I've changed, I've grown, I'm older now, but I'm the same person. I'm Abby from Louisiana. I always will be. And, I think for me, it's kind of like I'm so blessed. God has blessed me so much with, when I was young, I had no idea that when I grew up, I was going to be an influencer. That was not my plan. But, God has blessed me and this was my path. And I would just never use it for anything other than like good or spread love to people, or I would never want to use it and make someone else feel like they're not, like I'm better than them or they're not good enough because they're not big on social media. My goal has always been to like, if I meet a fan, anytime I even meet a fan, I'm so shocked still.
Wow.
Like I'm like, where do we know each other? Like literally, I'm like, oh my God, hey, and they're like, and I'm like, oh, like I don't think that way about myself, and I never will allow myself to think.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. You're like, I almost still feel like imposter syndrome about having a following or even being this way. And I think that there's kind of like two different types of talent, maybe a third, I hope, but ones that are like, they think they're so famous that they almost think they're more famous than any celebrity you've ever heard of. Like I've met those talent where I'm like, wait, chill. Like chill for a moment. Yes. Like you almost are like, I'm a nice person and I always want to like congratulate people for their success. But when they're too like, when they act like they're like God's gift to earth and I'm lucky to be around them type of vibe, it's like crazy. But that sometimes works for them in their career because they believe it so much. So then they put it out online so much and then people believe it so much and they act like it. So everyone's like feeding that ego. And then there's ones that are like maybe had that life and then like you are now humble and like can't even like own up to what they've built. I've seen that a lot with some influencers. But I also wonder if it's possible to, I mean, it has to be, I can't say it's not, but like the core reason of why someone wants to be famous is not feeling worthy or good enough, right? And wanting that attention and love and validation. And so we seek this, and it's it's so funny to me because I love talking about fame because it's so odd for people to talk about. It's uncomfortable for people to talk about. And I was just like I would always Google on YouTube about fame, and there's very, very few videos that even talk about fame. And I think it's because it's like this taboo thing that so many people want, but like people are almost embarrassed to say they want it because there's all these like ties to it. But it's like money and fame are like the two most wanted things in the world, right?
Right.
It's power. But is there true people in this world that can want that in a good way? is that possible?
I mean, I think like just to think of one person that's like that, I feel like Kim Kardashian's like that.
Like what?
Like I think she's totally comfortable with being famous. She wants it. She's been open that she wanted it, and I feel like from what I see online, I mean, like how she's helped people, I feel like she's pretty humble about it and she's comfortable in it. You can tell she's like comfortable in her skin. Part of my process with dealing with everything too, you know, the process of since it first happened to me to where I am now, you know, the highs and the lows, I feel like the clubhouse after I got out of that and I was so burnt out and also very scared because I felt like I can't be myself. I can't say what I really feel because this person's not going to like it and they're going to come after. And I was very afraid of that person. I was afraid. I'm not now, but I think with social media and me feeling like I can be myself, I feel like I felt like, who cares what I have to say?
Wow.
Why am I like gonna come online and be like, hey guys, like this, it's like, who do I think I am? That's kind of how I felt about it. I felt like, what gives me the right and why would anybody want to hear what I have to say? So I think that was a part of it. And then another part of it was after I was doing it social media so heavily and then I stopped, I almost wanted to prove to myself that I didn't care because I started to really care about what everyone was thinking about me, about the likes I was getting, about the comments that I was getting. And I just kind of shut it down for a while because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't care until eventually I didn't care anymore.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I did it. That's kind of how I coped with everything is I just
cut it out of your
cut
life.
it out, kind of just went home, just was in Louisiana a lot with my family a lot, focusing on my small siblings, you know, doing stuff for them and doing things for them that this beautiful career and blessing that I've been given has afforded me, you know, the ability to be able to do things for them. So I kind of was just really focusing on that and it really healed me in a lot of ways. And, you know, I'm 26 now and I kind of just been doing it since I was 21. And yeah, it's kind of like I have tough skin now. There's nothing, you know, someone can message me and be like, you know, God knows what. And I'd be like, oh, that's funny.
That's
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy for you. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in you too. I've seen you change and transform and become this beautiful woman and person that I've always been like, I can't wait for you to show that new version of you to the world because you've seen so much and like you have so much to give and now show the world that wants to be in this world.
I think when we met was a time in my life where, and we've talked about this, but I was very insecure.
Wow.
At the point that we met. Very, very, very insecure. I was in a relationship that was not good for me. It did not feed my soul. It didn't feed his either, I'm sure. And I was not getting, I think, the connection I needed and everything was wrong. And I was just experiencing so much and all my relationships at home were changing. The way people treated me was changing. And when I was growing up, I never really felt like I fit in. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I'm sure they can, but I'm one of those people where my whole life, I never really feel like I fully fit in anywhere. Like I had my best friend and I was friends with her friends, but I wasn't the type of girl that had like this group of girlfriends where we all like went and did stuff. I had my own best friends that were all separate from each other. And they knew each other because they were my friend. So especially when I came into this world, take a person who always kind of felt like they didn't fit in and then I get all these followers and I fit in, but then I go home and I still don't fit in because then everybody's like, analyzing me like, oh, this is her, like what's so special about her, why is this happening to her? Or they thought that I thought I was more important than them when I never did, so it isolated me even more. Wow. So it's like it's so much weird stuff, but I feel like
that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool perspective.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like everybody's is different, but I think what was so important to me was making sure that I didn't lose myself. Moral of the story is you can't control what people think or what they're going to say about you, you know, especially on the internet, everything gets twisted. You know, how are they supposed to know what the truth is? You know, if it, you know, I guess the way I look online, I don't really show who I really fully am anyways. So what do I expect them to think? You know, they're going to have a prejudged vision of me. So then when they hear stuff about me on the horrible stuff about me, maybe they're inclined to believe it.
So were you getting like tons of hate on the internet in your comments and things like that?
Oh
Or
my gosh, everywhere. I mean, my messages, my comments, articles, stuff on like Snapchat articles I couldn't control. It was,
wow.
I mean, horrible.
And so what were they saying? Like,
Um, Insinuating, just basically spinning off what he was telling them.
and what
Yeah.
was he telling them?
Um, a lot. And I think, a lot at the time. Like I said, I was very scared to speak up because I think in this industry too, like not only men, I'm not saying it's an only men thing, but a lot of times, a lot of men with power will use that power over you to scare you and that was definitely happening at that point. So I felt like I couldn't really say, but so much. I mean, he was going after my family, my mother, like calling my mother and recording it like on stream, like live, calling me, saying like just I have clips of it. Like,
Oh, you do?
yeah, I mean they're not easy. They're not hard to find.
Okay, show us.
Okay.
Show us
Could
these
probably
clips. I haven't
pull it
seen
up
them yet.
easily. But yeah, I just feel like I took I took such a beating and I never like said anything about it. And I feel like it's just it's so wrong on so many levels, what he did to me. And I feel like I've always handled it with such class and I thought we were good even after this.
Yeah.
So let's see. This was the one about my mom.
Dude, if I knife him, I'll call Abby's mom back. And then, low key, Abby's mom had Abby at the age of 18. What does that mean, guys? If you knew a girl that was 18 and got pregnant, what does that mean? So that's the type of girl Abby's mom was. That was just out of pocket because accidents do happen. No, like on some real shit though, like Abby mom pee probably fire because her dad couldn't pull out type shit. Had her at the age of 18. That shit had to be fire. Homie said, "Fuck college, fuck being 20. I'ma just nut in a bitch."
Okay, that's horrible. I can't believe he said that stuff about you on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, dude, my mom. That's like, I feel like the one rule in life. Like,
Yeah.
you're publicly going after my mom because she had me. She was brave enough to have me at 18 when she was a kid.
Wow.
Cool. You're so cool, dude. Beating down a woman for having a baby and keeping me.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. It's just like, it was obviously a really hard thing to do. Like, I'm so glad that my mom and,
I feel like it's heartbreaking to even see like the fact that you even have to talk about it.
to insinuate that
and
my
then,
mom's a
like,
whore
support your mom.
is insane.
Like, why are you guys even talking about your mom?
And this was like,
and you like that is very like,
this was
dark.
a long time after we broke up too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did I ever do to you, dude? Why do you want to destroy me in every way? It's like a high school bully on steroids.
And so all his fans were coming after you on the internet saying this type of stuff?
Oh, horror, yeah. Like everything you could possibly imagine. Talking about me, talking about my mom, talking about, personal stuff about me that wasn't even true. Him just like sexualizing me like that. Like talking about stuff that's like gross and putting that in other people's mind. It's just like, it was a very violating feeling. And I felt like I couldn't say anything because I was terrified. I was terrified of this person. But now it's kind of just like, I'm not terrified. And number two, it's like, he's still talking about me to this day.
Really?
Oh, to this day. His fans, like, I guess just eat it up. But it's like his fans are the type of people, I don't want to cook all of them. Maybe there's some kids out there that don't know any better. But most of them are like either like older people, the same people on Twitter that were saying like Margot Robbie's not pretty or like Margot Robbie's mid. They're just like keyboard warriors in their basement, just, yeah. Or they're like young kids that he's just damaging their minds. They don't know any better. And they're just teaching them to be toxic and that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, a band of just the crowd he's created, I guess. Like, I thought this was all over.
Yeah, I remember him coming up to you at a party, and I thought you guys were all good.
Yeah. You were there. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came up to me. This was probably like, how long ago was this? Maybe like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. And yeah, we had the best talk. This was after what I just showed you. Now there's been more, and I forgave him for everything. Number one, I never fought back. And number two, I forgave him because, you know, I had a relationship with him. I actually cared about him. I actually, you know, had love for this person. And I'm the type of person that when I do, I always, you know, will have regard for that person. I'll never go and hurt that person. So yeah, I mean, he apologized to me. He was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know all the things you've been through in your life as well. And I feel like this must have made it even harder for you considering things you've been through. Like, he was so open. Like, we had such a good conversation. And I remember I told him, like, you know, whoever he was going to be with next, I said, just please don't do this to someone again. Just no matter how mad you get, you know, he admitted to me, he was like, yeah, I mean, I was butthurt. Like, you know, it was my first like real heartbreak. And I was like, I totally, you know, get it. Like, he's like, I handled it wrong. Totally forgive you. I said, just please don't do this again. Don't do this to someone else, because I didn't even know if I was going to make it out at one point. So I thought everything was good. And then, you know, however long goes by, a year and a half goes by, radio silence. The first chance he comes back on the internet, he talks shit about me.
Wow.
Saying like, I hate that bitch. I paid for her surgeries. Like, you know, then after, I didn't even take the time to respond to this, but I guess I will now because I'm here. But he said, I paid for this. I paid for that. Bro, he never paid my bills.
Wow.
Like, I'm sorry that you grew up and like, you know, no shade, but he never had any real responsibility. He never had to pay to go to school. He never had to work to pay for something. He lived in that house for free. So it's just like, you're not going to sit here, someone who came from nothing, who I paid my way through school, I hustled, and I'm grateful for that hustle. You're not going to sit here and publicly, well, I guess you can, but for him to just sit here and publicly, like, on top of that, say he paid my bills. You never paid my bills, bro. That's insane. It's just kind of like, at this point, I'm done having someone 4 years later, like, paint this picture of me that I didn't pay for anything. I didn't appreciate anything. It's like, I drove you around for the entirety of our relationship because he won't get a license for some reason. So it's like, where's my gas money? It's like, that's so weird, right? I'm not going to go like, hey, I had this order from this date and I need you to pay me back this much. It's like crazy, the low blows, I guess, that he's taken for no reason.
Do you feel like this has kind of like totally made you, number one, obviously want to get out of the public eye, and then number two, probably never want to date someone in the public eye again?
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to date someone in the public eye ever again.
Wow.
And it put me in my shell for so long, and I think I got comfortable there. And then COVID, everything like that. But you know, as far as social media, like I'm kind of like ready, and I guess, you know, comfortable with speaking now, because I've grown so much and I've healed so much. But yeah, I cannot fathom how after all this time he's still bringing me up, and I don't know why he's obsessed with bringing me up in a negative light. It's something in him so egotistical that, because he feels like, you know. And another thing he kept saying, oh, here's another thing he said that I'm an ungrateful bitch, because he paid for half of my boob job when we were dating. It's like, I how am I ungrateful? You number one, offered, okay, for my birthday. Number two, I paid the other half of it. Number three, you made a YouTube video of me while I was having surgery and I looked like messed up and stuff, and I was okay with that. You posted a YouTube video of my surgery, made money off of it. Of course I said thank you. It was my birthday gift. I was so excited. I'm a grateful person. I was like, dude, this is awesome.
For it? Wow.
Yeah. So but then it's like 4 years later, you're going to say, what do you want from me, bro? What do you want from me? I already said thank you. Like, who does something for someone as a gift? Like, that'd be like if someone gave you a gift, your boyfriend 4 years ago, and 4 years later, they're like, It's like, I thanked you in person, personally. Like, I don't understand like what you want from me. And I don't know. I think a lot of people just want me to like, just give him praise, but it's like, for what? You've mercifully bullied me and put me through hell for years.
Wow.
Why would I want to praise you? But still,
Wow.
even to this point, I've said nothing but positive things as he's tearing me down. So it's just like, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm through with it.
I'm through with
Like,
it.
I'm not scared of you anymore. Like, he's gonna say something, I'm sure, if he sees this, something not true, something hateful, whatever. Say it, buddy. There's nothing you can say about me at this point that is gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
It's just, hopefully one day he can just move on and find another topic. But I want women to understand, and I feel like, the world right now is really women forward right now. And I feel like women are being heard on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody out there that has come from, teenage parents or like a broken family, I mean, hats off to you. And I mean, I feel like I'm so proud of all those people for, going through that. It's not an easy thing. And I'm proud of my mom. And, she's definitely not a hoe. She was with my dad since she was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They were like boyfriend and girlfriend since they were 12. Unfortunately, it did not work out. And that was for the best, because I wouldn't trade my family for the world. But yeah, I mean, to have that was so hard on my mom. And I have like a little brother, and like he heard that online.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
So,
That's so dark.
that was really, 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 I think when it started, like he went after my mom, I just kind of was like, oh, there's nothing that this person won't do. So at that point I was really scared. But a lot of time has gone by since then. So
That's traumatic. I can't believe you've never like spoken up or talked about it at all.
no, I never talked about it.
I know, and that's what's crazy for me is like he's obviously very respected, and very large, grew this crazy career, and I've always heard you speak highly of him. Like you've never really spoken badly about him. I don't really hear anyone really speaking badly about him. So obviously that's even more like shocking, because I felt like you've held yourself very well. And so to hear all this stuff is pretty heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think respect, for doing something only goes, so far. I feel like, okay, if let's say you spearheaded this part of this industry, kind of like how you're doing with your company.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are creating, what you're doing is so powerful, and there's power that comes with that. But you're totally the type of person that you're just so humble and loving, and like doesn't mean you're not powerful, but you don't use that to hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like we have to stop giving power to people that use it to hurt others.
Yeah, I feel like that's the worst way to use it.
So it's kind of like, even when I was doing that podcast where Steiny was like, oh, well, I have to respect him because it's an OG. It's like, you don't even know him. Why do you have to respect him again? Why do you have to like kiss his ass again? Because you're told to, but he's not like, what about when someone doesn't deserve that respect?
Mm-hmm.
Or what about when, they're abusing that power?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that that's correct, and I'm just not going to let him do that anymore.
Well, I'm so proud of you for like holding your ground and standing up for yourself and overcoming that, because I don't think there's a lot of people that can show the dark side of being in the spotlight. Mm-hmm. And like what that spotlight can do to you, and the way that it's been twisted and put mm-hmm. against you in such a crazy way.
Yeah, like if I could go back, like when he asked me to, I would have, I hate to say that I would change things, because I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, but if I would have known all that came with it, I would have never said yes. If I knew that this person was going to hang this over my head forever, and I think a lot of times in life too, sometimes we're brought situations that keep coming back to us mm-hmm. to help us learn from it. And, when I was a kid, I had a hard time. I had a hard childhood for sure. And I think I had a lot of situations where, people in power over me were holding things over my head when I was a kid that it shouldn't have been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things I've had to heal as an adult. So like when he did this to me, it totally like broke me, you know, because I've been through so much in my life. So it was kind of like that one, it's just like he knew he could just cripple me with this, and he chose to.
Wow.
Yeah. So it took a long time for me to heal from it, but I'm definitely like, I look at it totally different now. And I believe that it happened for a reason, because I don't think I really learned my lesson the first time.
Yeah. And it's wild because I think a lot of people want to be on the internet and be famous and be in the spotlight. And they think that they could be okay with this many people looking at all your stuff, and that maybe they would be okay with hateful comments. But until you're like in that situation, you'll never really know if you're built for that type of life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just couldn't even imagine what that feels like. Like, I've even had hateful comments. I'm not even at your guys' level of stardom. So I like, anytime I have something, I'm like, oh my God, you know, and I'm like, okay, Tara, chill. You can't get affected by it. But I can't imagine having that many people at once just like talking about you. That
Well,
had to make you strong.
yeah, it definitely did. And, you know, I'm grateful for everything. And, you know, I also want to say, like, even after everything, like with him, it's kind of like I'm simultaneously speaking up for myself, but I don't want to, you know, put him down. That's not my style. But at the same time, unfortunately, maybe the truth, he's definitely going to feel like that I'm doing that. But I really do, you know, wish him nothing but the best.
That's what you have to do. Is like, when people are hating on you, you just have to send them love.
Yeah. I hope that he can maybe just
to heal,
change.
so you could release.
Right. Yeah. I think he just needs to heal himself and change his vibe and just chill out, dude. Just chill, bro. Just love, dude. Let's just love.
Since then, you've obviously started dating again somehow. No, I'm just kidding. What would you say is like a green flag for you when you see it in a guy? Like a trait or something they do that's like a green flag?
So I guess someone that can be deep, and is not afraid to be deep and maybe in touch with their feminine side, but lives in the masculine and is like brave enough to feel things and not be one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, I can't talk about that, or oh, that doesn't make, because I'm just so strong. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Or a dude that's like, no offense, like extremely buff and just like really like juiced up. Like I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's not your vibe.
No.
Not your vibe.
Mm-mm.
Talk to me about masculine and feminine energy and what that means in a relationship.
Well, I feel like that's something that you and I have been talking about a lot recently. And I feel like it's very important to, as a woman, for me, feel like I'm safe enough to be a woman. Like someone I watch and someone you know very well. And I found from you, Danny Morell, who was talking about it. He really opened my eyes to it. And you know, he said that femininity is basically, you know, you're loving, you're receiving, you're relaxed, you're laid back, you're, you know, comfortable. And a man, a male energy, masculine, is like he's leading, he's doing, he's protecting, he's making shit happen, like he's leading you. And I think I really, really realized that as a woman, we want to be led and we want to feel safe. And just that chemistry is so important. It's so important. And I think like for a while, I didn't know if that was like a real thing or not. Like if, oh, you know, like that feeling of like you flutter when they walk into the room. And I thought that was kind of like not true or didn't exist. But it definitely does. And I think like what I've learned, and I will continue learning, but what I've learned in my 26 years is do not settle. Do not settle. You know?
I love that. To you, what is the most attractive men in a room? Like, how are they holding themselves and presenting themselves?
I think for me, what I notice, I don't look at necessarily like, I don't want to say I don't look at first impressions, but I don't look at what's on the surface, you know, because someone can be attractive, someone can be this, someone can be that. But, you know, when you talk to them or connect with them, it can just be like, So I feel like for me, the connection, having that moment. And if there's that moment where, you know, there's a connection and they're open enough to show genuinely who they are, that's the most attractive thing you could ask for from someone, especially a man, you know, someone that's not too macho man to like be real and be vulnerable.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Being vulnerable is the key. Like you have to be willing to be vulnerable and have your heart open, you know, even though it's so scary. You know, one of my best friends was going through a heartbreak. And one of the things I told her was, it's so much better to have kind of like how they say loved and lost, but wouldn't you rather be the type of person that had such an open heart and maybe you fall hard, maybe this and that, and maybe that means you get hurt worse. But you have way more of a chance of finding love than someone that just closes himself off and never allows that connection to come in.
So true.
You know, so I'd rather be how I am, but it definitely opens you up. It's like, you know, you have to pick up those pieces and just keep trucking.
Wow, that's so true. So after seeing the type of person you are, I think it's a cool time to get into OnlyFans. It's very different from what anyone would expect that you've been able to be a huge creator on, because I feel like it kind of shows like so many different types of people with such good values can also be on this platform. And so what is your opinion on OnlyFans and how has it changed your life?
Well, my opinion definitely used to be like different. Out of my, I say friend group, but just peers in the space, like I was the last one to do it because I was very scared. I remember I was talking to you and you were like, Abby, you would kill it. And I was just like, oh, like I'm scared. I think I was worried about, you know, the stigma. I was worried about like, you know, I'm from the South, like small town, like what people are going to think and stuff like that. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely changed my life.
So you've obviously amassed a huge audience on OnlyFans. You have tons of fans over there that would just want to talk to you all day. So it's changed your life, and I'm assuming financially too. Are you comfortable with telling us how much you've earned on there?
I mean,
Oh, it's only a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
Life-changing.
Life-changing, like millions and millions and millions?
Some millions. Yes.
Wow. And what would you say, what advice would you have for someone that wants to start an OnlyFans but is too scared?
Don't worry about what other people think. Because I think like, you know, make content and do what's comfortable for you. But I never would have been able to do it if I didn't have my dad's blessing. Like which is kind of crazy. But my dad, because now we know my parents had me young. So my dad is, he just turned 45. And
so he's hip and cool with the times.
He's just my guy. He's an incredible father. And not only that, but we happen to be best friends. And he was like, and he also understands the internet very well. So he understands what everything is.
Yeah, I've heard him like on voice memos with you. He like says all the cool up-to-date slogan and like slogan. What am I saying?
He'll like
slang.
troll me. Like he'll troll me because he knows all the slang of today.
Yeah,
so he'll
he
be
knows,
like
the slang.
Yeah, and I'll be like, dude, like how do you even know what that is?
Like he'll even say like cook him and like stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he'll be like, dude, cook his ass. I'm like, Dad, chill. But yeah, he told me
cool.
He was like, Abby, you're gonna be like 50 years old, and you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, I am so stupid for passing that bag up. He's like, who cares what other people think? Anybody that is hating on you, if they had the opportunity to do it, they would do it too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it ties into, again, it was another lesson for me to just kind of like, now I really don't care what other people think. Because it's like, it's been tested so many times and now it's just like,
you're doing you.
Yeah, being me. And like, I'm so grateful for the journey. I'm so grateful for that platform. And It's changed my life. It's changed my family's life. You know, I have very small siblings, and, you know, just being able to be there for them, and be able to do things for them, and also know that what I've built and what I have, it's kind of like no matter what happens, like I know that me and my family are going to be okay. And I can, in any emergency, make sure that everything's taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about for me.
That's cool. Can you tell us about the land you bought and your whole plan for your family of like building the houses and stuff?
So, me and my family got 200 acres, outside, a little outside of Louisiana. I don't want to say exactly where, but, it's like 30 minutes from my dad's house. And, yeah, it's been incredible. It's been so cool. It's been a dream of, you know, me and my dad. We're a little bit of kind of like, well, we're huge nerds, first of all. Like, I'm a huge nerd. People don't really know that about me, but we are really into kind of not super doomsday prepper. All right. Not super doomsday, but like a little doomsday. You know, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what shit's going to pop off.
Mm-hmm.
So we're ready. And we're assembling that. And I think also for my dad, a big thing is just like privacy. And I think like being out in nature is so amazing. So we've been able to do that. And when we got it before it was actually a hunting camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the people didn't really like, there was a lot of like trash on the land and a lot of stuff, like it needed a lot of work. So then I got an excavator, because to hire someone to go and clear that much land would have been like,
wow,
I think like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wow. So I was like, well, you know, my uncle's worked in that business forever, so he knows how to operate one. So I was like, well, why don't I just like buy an excavator?
Wow. So you own one now?
Yeah, I have a big excavator. Her name's Big Baby. I operate her from time to time. But yeah, so he's been working on the land looks incredible. It's beautiful. The trees are beautiful. The land is beautiful. There's a big pond where we can fish. And right now my aunt and uncle are building. They're the first ones to build. And then I think that the next people to build will definitely be my dad and my stepmom. And then I'll probably build later. I'll build a home out there for sure. I plan to be kind of like a vacation home.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's like a dream, I feel, for people to have like a whole plot of land with all your family building houses around. And you'll probably have like a little farm and things that
definitely.
you could do.
I want to have like a whole fresh garden, like organic, everything. Yeah. So it's just been so cool. And I love riding 4-wheelers, like, and I love mud riding, which when you come, like, we have to do that. It's
you were telling me how big the bugs are there.
Yeah, they're big. Like compared to here, like you haven't seen bugs in your life.
That's the only thing that scares me is those bugs.
I mean, it's not like Australia. Like I hear Australia is like really bad with shit like that. Oh, really? Yeah.
Like how big are these bugs that we're talking about in
like
Louisiana?
Not that big. It's just there's more insects. I guess it's different because it's like the climate's so different. Yeah. So over there, it's almost like tropical because it's so humid. Like here, it stays about, it ranges from like 40 to like 50 kind of percent humidity. In Louisiana, it's like 80 to 90.
Damn.
So, you know what I mean? And it rains a lot. It's very like humid and hot, and there's a lot of mosquitoes, and there's a lot of like bugs.
Do you get like bitten to death there?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. It depends. They always try to say some people get bitten more than others because they're like, oh, it must be the type of blood you have. They like your blood better.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Who knows? I don't know.
What advice would you give someone that's sitting at home that wants to be a social media star?
That's a hard one because I think I didn't even plan to do it. Mm-hmm. It kind of happened to me. But I feel like what I've learned is in life, I feel like a lot of people might be presented opportunities, but they think in their head, oh, well, that's not possible. Oh, that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. That's not going to happen. I think that's the problem. A lot of times the only thing holding you back from what you want is you.
Yeah.
You are your own, you know, it's about the battle with yourself, you know, and I think like if that's something you really want and, you know, you want to use it for good intentions, I think if you focus on it, you're consistent with it, you are true to yourself, you know, you're meditating, you're making sure like you're one with everything. Um, you know, anything's possible. And any opportunity that comes your way, like, you know, don't be afraid to think big. I
Yeah,
think coming
I
from a
love
small
that.
town, you know, something I've learned and something I realize I guess I have had my whole life. Maybe I didn't think it would be it's hard to put, but I think it's so easy being from a small town, which most people are from, or most people are from something like that, unless they're from like a city, the fast life. I feel like it's easy to kind of get into that um, small-minded mentality, the small, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. There's nothing wrong with a normal, simple life. Trust me, I see the appeal of it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what I see myself having in the future when I have kids, and they're gonna have a very normal life. But I think, you know, just not being afraid to think bigger.
Okay, so to wrap this up, I always like to ask my guests, what is the $1 billion quality that got you to where you are today?
I think God. I think my faith in God. I think that's what's gotten me where I am today, and through every situation, and given me the strength to be able to learn and stay true to myself. So I think at the end
Oh.
of the day, that's what it is.
I've even seen you in situations where you're like, okay, figuring out what you're going to do next or things for your career. And you always say, like, I'm just going to allow it to come. Like, you're very in a place of that.
That's true. I think that was a big thing, you know, to tie into that, or maybe to explain it in another way, is just having faith. I just have faith in the universe. And, you know, there's a mashup of, you know, kind of like what you're envisioning for yourself, you know, what you speak out becomes your reality. But I think also just not forcing anything. You know, don't force anything that doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably because it's not right.
Yeah.
You know, don't do something that doesn't feel right. And that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten. And maybe, you know, there's I always joke with you, and I'm always like, I'm such a bad influencer because, you know, I guess there was so many opportunities where I could have scraped my way higher, but I just can't bring myself to be that type of person, I guess. Not that that's a wrong thing to do, because at the end of the day, hey, it's business. You know, you got to get where you got to get. There's no hate in that. But me personally, I think I just have always wanted it to be natural, and whatever's meant for me, you know, is meant for me. And I'm grateful for whatever. Sorry, I have an itch on my nose. I'm grateful for whatever comes my way.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being on my episode. I think it was so good to share everything about you. I appreciate you for coming, and I love you. Please tell everyone where they can find you on the internet.
Well, I love you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm very proud of you, and I'm just like so excited to see your podcast and like watch all the other episodes. And I'm just so happy to see like your vision coming to life, and one of your many visions. But you can find me on Instagram, Abby Rayo, ABPYRAO, and I'm the same on everything.
And you guys need to go tell her what your favorite parts are on the episode. Me and her are going to be reading the comments. I'm so proud of you for opening up today. I see so many beautiful sides of her, so I want her to keep opening up to the world. So let's go tell her your favorite parts, and I hope to have you come on again soon.
I would love to. I love you.
Thank you so much for listening today. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part was. I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to be replying to all of you. Subscribe to Billion Dollar Baby on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And if you want to follow me at TARUHHH, I'll be posting everything Billion Dollar Baby. And I can't wait to see you next week.